All right, how's everybody doing? This is the Cheech and Manny and Joe Silkman podcast, and we have a great show for you today in my Ed Sullivan voice. Shout out to Ed Sullivan, another man from Portchester.
Legendary.
Legendary. And we got a great show about the Mighty Zepp, and it is going to be the album Houses of the Holy. And it's going to be a great show. And my partner, Manny, how are you?
Ed Sullivan, what's going on? Which band is playing?
The Beatles, of course.
The Beatles. Let's go, Cheech.
Not much, man. You know, a good day away from the temple. Nice day off. I am pretty exhausted because I sent you 53 pages of our next go to Blonde on Blonde. And after writing Blonde on Blonde, Houses of the Holy is pretty boring. Lyrically.
Yo, dude, isn't that crazy?
I know.
No, and it's crazy. Joe, did you see Joe? He sent us that ranking, and I think Houses of the Holy was number 2. Like it was over Physical Graffiti. And I'm thinking, I mean, I can see why, but I don't know.
So lyrically, let me introduce Joe Silkman before we go. How are you, Joe?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Well, me and Joe had our usual warm up. Joe checked me on a couple things. Joe has some really good facts that I didn't even know about a couple of the songs. But like a lot of the lyrics are, there's not a lot of depth to them. There is one that kind of blew my mind away on Houses of the Holy that I was really blown away with. But
which one? Wait, which one? Dire Mak'er?
No Quarter. Wait till we get there. You know, I don't know if you guys know what it's about, but it's about something I knew about the history, but I didn't know that song was about that. But when we get there, we'll you know. But so how's everything going, Joe?
Pretty good. Turned in my taxes yesterday.
Oh yeah,
exciting.
That off.
Yeah.
No, but everything's going good.
I got to do mine.
You know.
But yeah, so I'm keeping this straight. All right, so just a couple of shout outs. I would like to dedicate this whole show to it's my best friend Danny Brown. You've heard me talk about Danny Brown in the Rush ones. It's his older brother Pete had passed away 3 years ago, and the anniversary was yesterday. So I want to dedicate this show to Pete Brown. Pete helped me get through a lot of tough times over the past 4 years. We were, you know, he was like an older brother to me. He was Danny's older brother. I grew up with him since I was about 12. And unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. But he loved John Bonham. He loved John Bonham, and he loved Zeppelin. And this is dedicated to you, Pete. Rest in peace. What we have, I'm trying not to move the phone. So we have, we just recorded Dylan, Highway 61 Revisited, which is going to be a fantastic one.
Mm-hmm.
We just put out Zeppelin 4, and thank you, Joe, because the ratings, our views have gone up like in 2 days. We're almost at 3,000 on that. Counterparts is out. Roll the Bones is out with the with the improv. We kind of pull the cream on that one. And this would be what we're doing now, I believe, is episode 32.
32. Oh, and next week, well, actually, no, Monday, Test for Echo is releasing.
Okay, nice.
So Test for Echo, and then
we'll have Highway 61.
Highway 61, and then this one. So I think we'll do like a weekly episode, like every Monday.
You hear me? You hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always got to get a phone call in the middle of a podcast.
Yeah. Oh, if that happens, be careful because it'll stop recording. So you got to repeat whatever you just said.
Okay, because it went back to 0. So what did I say?
So Test for Echo is going to be on Monday, and then next month. So we'll do our episodes will come out weekly. So we're on 32. It's crazy.
From August, it's unbelievable. It's amazing.
We may have to do some remaster episodes like on UWAV and
Yeah. We may have to go back and do a whole show on John Sykes.
Redux or redo or
Yeah,
remastered.
definitely. And it's crazy how the ideas keep flowing.
I know. Do you want to share what we have planned? So we have Blonde on Blonde, the punk episode, soundtracks.
Yeah. Whole Genesis thing.
That-
We're in the works. Once I got Blonde on Blonde done, because I was nervous about that one. I was like, double album, 11 songs. The last song's 11
Dylan.
minutes long. And I was telling Joe, like, I just watched the growth of Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I always liked Bob Dylan, but now I love Bob Dylan
Yeah.
because I'm studying the 3 albums, and then I want to go on and do the next one. What was the next one called?
John Wesley Hardin.
He goes
I
back
can't
to
believe I know that.
He goes back to his roots.
Yeah.
So after doing
Yeah.
3 albums of hard rock, but this album, we won't have to talk about it much. But Al Cooper's the genius in it. It's lyrically and musically. I think it's his best album of all time. But Blind on Blind.
No, and it's crazy because Dylan said that he was after he's weird, but when he talks about his music, but he says he was after a mercurial sound, and he achieved it with Blonde on Blonde.
Yeah,
whatever that means. But he knew he made something special. But it was odd that ended his rock career because afterwards he kind of went back to folk country. Had a little.
Why didn't he just stay rocking? Because it's silly. Because like in 1967, 68, after that album, rock blew up. It went from
Hendrix.
It went from like basic, Fab Four British Invasion stuff to heavy metal, hard rock. All these great Zeppelin, Sabbath, Deep Purple.
Hendrix covered his song.
Jimi Hendrix. It's amazing.
He did his version of I don't know if you two have heard his version of Like a Rolling Stone, which actually is pretty good.
And on the John Harding one,
and of course, All Along Watchtower, Electric Ladyland.
Yeah. And speaking of, Eddie Kramer produces Houses of the Holy. No Andy Johns on this one. So, all right. Before, do you guys want to spend time talking about the movie after? You want to talk about it now a little bit? Because I know you guys had just seen the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You want to spend...
Joe, do you want to start now, Joe? What do you think? Or after?
I could say a few things about it.
Yeah, go ahead. You start. So Joe and I saw the movie. It's called Becoming Led Zeppelin, right? If I remember correctly. It came out last weekend, I think, or...
Well, the first week was in IMAX. Now they've released it to other theaters, and they're expanding it because I think they like the business it's doing. People are interested in it.
Yeah.
Wait, Joe, did you see it in IMAX?
I did not.
Okay, I was trying to. I couldn't. Yeah, couldn't. No theater near me was showing it in IMAX.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see it, but I found a site that had some bootleg clips, and I watched the trailer over and over. Most important part about that movie. Well, Joe had a couple. You want to talk about the wives? That was an interesting fact.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a documentary. They didn't take any liberties with it. They pretty much spoke about factual things that happened. But
the way it should be.
Huh?
The way it should be, Manny.
The way it should be.
You'll appreciate it because only facts. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to note that the interviews were done with the band members before COVID. So it's been sitting on the shelf for quite a while. But all 3 band members mentioned, well, not Jimmy Page, but the others, the importance of the women that they were married to and how Zeppelin might not have happened without them. Because it started with John Paul Jones's wife, Mo, telling John Paul Jones that Jimmy Page was starting a band and maybe he should give Jimmy a call. And the rest is history on that. And I just found it interesting that, Bonham and Plant were playing in different bands and they both married very young. But Pat Bonham did not like Robert Plant.
Yeah.
At all. Thought he was trouble. And that, would take him down the wrong road and they would end up nowhere. But fortunately, Maureen Plant became very close friends with Pat Bonham, and I think softened Pat Bonham up to where she would accept Robert Plant. so the band took off because John Bonham had a pretty decent gig. He had a steady gig with a band leader named Tim Rose, and so he had a steady income coming in. But probably if he hadn't gone to Zeppelin, he might not have left the clubs in England. Although Cheech thinks that because of his talent, he would have caught on with a major band anyway.
Yeah, I think somebody that good.
I will say, but based
Especially-
on the documentary, I think he would have stayed in if it wasn't for. I think that's like debatable, but just based on what I saw in the documentary, if Plant didn't convince him, I think he would have been famous in the club scene. But I think he wouldn't have, it's like it's the same thing if John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page stayed as session musicians. Like, don't get me wrong, they were really good, but had they not made the jump, they would just be known as session musicians. I mean, really good ones, but.
And it's amazing how talented they are to be session musicians.
Did you see the documentary? Dude, one amazing fact that I did not know is that their work on the Goldfinger soundtrack. Yeah. I didn't know that he's playing guitar and Jones bass.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing. Their talent.
James Bond, that's really bassy.
Yeah.
Donovan too. They backed like Hurdy-Gurdy.
They worked with Donovan, right?
All that stuff. So many other bands too. And actually, John Paul Jones did string arrangements for the Stones. But they were known. They were obviously Page was known in the Yardbirds, but like they were. Even John Paul Jones was a well-known session guy. Kind of like Cream, and they always remind me of Cream. How Cream, the members were all known already. Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce played with Graham Bond, and obviously Clapton was known, and then the supergroup formed. So, but my thing in the movie, and I didn't see it, but I think, and I knew this already, and I'm glad they brought it up in the movie. If you didn't break in California or New York, if you didn't break the Fillmore, you weren't gonna be a successful band. Humble Pie, the Allman Brothers, all broke at Fillmore East or Fillmore West, and I think Zeppelin, Peter Grant, what did he say?
Yeah,
you guys, you better break it.
This is it, otherwise it's over.
And they did, and the Fillmore was such a great club for these bands to make it. And we talked about Humble Pie, me and Joe, being a rival. They were, to me, they weren't a rival band. They were friends, but Zeppelin was, I think, don't check me on this, but I think they didn't want to play with Humble Pie because they knew Humble Pie was, really rising up there and kicked ass like Led Zeppelin did. So they didn't want to have them on the same bill, with them. Although Humble Pie, unfortunately, they didn't have the staying power. By 1975, they were done.
I'll be honest with you. Most people, unless you're a classic rock or hard rock fan, they don't remember Humble Pie. It's mostly Led Zeppelin.
Oh, yeah.
No,
but at that time, Humble Pie was definitely a force not to be messed with, like Zeppelin, But any more on the movie?
Well, for me, it's just, dude, it's well made. It's probably one of the best music documentaries, and I love how they focused on the first two records, right? So Led Zeppelin and Led Zeppelin 2, and also, dude, it shows Jimmy Page. Dude, he's a genius, man. Like, honestly, Jimmy Page is like he made the sound of Zeppelin, but it not from like he made sure that. I think Joe, you made this point where he made sure the talents of the rhythm section really stood out. Like that was what was really important to him. So I thought that was fascinating. And they also touched upon Plant when he became sort of songwriting abilities were, an evolution, and it started to become really strong. And then he started to become really confident. And the way he wrote his lyrics was bouncing off the music that he heard from the band.
Right.
So I think that explains a lot, sort of like, how we said, like ramble on, like he'll be talking about, a Maiden, and then Gollum would come out of nowhere. But because he was listening to Page's, like, let's say guitar track, and they would work, and he would kind of imagine where would he take the lyrics based on what he's hearing. So
Yeah.
just the collaboration is it's astounding, and the documentary shows that.
What
That's
I
awesome.
liked was that they showed the band members some footage or some audio that they had never heard before. Like Jimmy would say, like at a certain festival, I've seen photographs, but I never knew that there was live footage of the show. And also shows them listening to John Bonham's voice. There
Yeah.
was some audio recordings that had been discovered. And yeah, they got emotional.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting in that regard. Anybody going to like see all the gossip and all the controversy about the band?
Yep.
They're not going to get that. They're getting
No.
the creation of the music and the live performances.
And that's all it should be. Everything else is just BS. And then what was I going to say? You had a good point about Robert Plant and John Paul Jones' relationship, Joe. We were talking about.
Well, yeah, because I have trouble with the lyrics and interpretation of lyrics, and sometimes I must say we didn't talk about this before, but I think Jimmy used to mix the vocals a little deep, and sometimes I couldn't make out some of the words. But Robert Plant would say about John Paul Jones that the problem with collaborating with John Paul Jones is that he doesn't think about the lyrics; he only thinks about the music. So I'm just like John Paul Jones.
Well, I'm the same way. I relate to that because, like, prior to now, I never really, unless it was Rush, Of course, Zeppelin, certain lyrics always stuck in my head, and Maiden, obviously.
Wait,
But
Cheech, really quick. Who's better, Rush or Zeppelin?
Oh no, no, I can't. They.
Who's the greatest band, Rush or Zeppelin? Canada or Toronto?
There'd be no Rush without Led Zeppelin, So I can't.
Yeah, that's the right answer, right?
It's two different beasts, Zeppelin started it for me. Zeppelin and Sabbath started it all. They started it, and then everything else is the Beatles, obviously, but like hard rock and metal. Yeah, I said metal, so you can comment on that because it is fucking heavy metal. Just played in the 60s and 70s.
Just make sure you ass check that first. If metal was in the 60s.
It's metal. They invented it. They were like,
dude, you're gonna get someone that wants an ass check, man.
Yeah, they're the cavemen making a wheel, with metal. Sabbath, Purple, Humble Pie, Zeppelin, and then Rush came out afterwards, and then there were so many other great ELP and Yes were floating around. All these great, that whole prog scene, Genesis. God, I wish I was older in the 70s. I was a baby during this time. I wish I could have been like, a musician in that era. But
Zeppelin had greater mass appeal, especially starting, I think, with Zeppelin 3 with the acoustic work. Because I remember a quote from Geddy Lee after Rush had been together for like 40 years, and they had written some music, and they put out an album, I forget which one, and Geddy said, well, we finally did it. We've started to see girls coming to the shows.
Yeah.
So it was like, Rush had kind of like the nerd, scientific, very smart male audience.
Yeah.
But with Zeppelin, after they got past, Zeppelin's 1 and 2, I think that, the girls were starting to really get into the acoustic stuff.
Well, I think it had to do with Rush. After Vapor Trails and their comeback, they became huge in pop culture. And we've sent all these crazy videos on like, was it? There was a show, Freaks and
Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks. They were on the girl, the greatest scene, she, not to talk about Rush, so I'm sorry, but she gets turned on to, was it Moving Pictures?
Yeah. Dude, I think it was wasn't it Tom Sawyer?
It was Tom Sawyer. And then she like goes in a room and rips down like Madonna pictures and puts up Geddy Lee from like Caress of Steel.
Wait, and that's the girl that joins the Freaks, right? Like the main girl?
Yeah. And then, but the stuff you've been sending me, Manny, is so funny about that. Like that guy and his girlfriend wants his attention, but he's listening to Rush in the car. Yes.
Dude, but I have to agree with
Still can't get it because you can't get Facebook right from the text. It's really funny.
so those Joe, I share a lot of Instagram memes and reels. So it's like a millennial thing. So I share a lot with Cheech on. So there's one where the girl is trying to. He's in the car, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's listening to what is it? Something Rush, and the girl's like trying to. She's banging on the window, open the door, and he's just like listening to
Just zoning out, and then he's listening to Roundabout. I mean, it's like a young
yeah,
kid,
that was brilliant.
and the kid doesn't look like he would be listening to prog rock, which makes it even funnier. You know, it's crazy. But anyway, you want to jump right into it? Any last thoughts on the movie?
See it. It
Definitely.
was worth it. I enjoyed it. It was a little over 2 hours long. I wish it was longer.
Mm-hmm.
They could have gone more in depth, I thought,
Yeah.
then it would have been a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
I agreed. Yeah, watch it, see it, especially if you're a Led Zeppelin fan and even documentary fan. I thought it was fantastic. Like there was never a dull moment.
Yeah.
Like,
Who
it was
made
really good, and I wish they went a couple hours more.
Who was the director? You know.
Also, Jimmy says in the movie that he did play on Kinks Records, and I'm trying to think who else he played with.
Did he say the Who too? The Who?
Yeah.
Huh?
Did he say he played on the Who?
Yeah.
He did.
I thought it was crazy.
Was it My Generation or I Can't Explain? I think it was Can't Explain.
Well, that's what I wanted him to divulge, and he wouldn't divulge what tunes he was on. He was often at the studio.
Oh, Joe and Cheech, because Joe saw the documentary. He had he kept a journal with everyone he worked with, and it's funny how I know you remember that, Joe. He was
Yes.
And it's funny, they should have focused more on that. Reveal who else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Like John Paul Jones, people think he makes jokes about the fact that he was on so many sessions that he can't remember a lot of the performers that he, played on their albums, because, a lot of times the vocalist wouldn't be there. It might be a well-known vocalist. They were not even given working titles. Well, they were given a working title. They weren't given the final title of the song that they were playing to.
Yeah.
So, John Paul Jones would find out later on that he was on a very well-known song, but it went by a different title than it ended up with. It was interesting because people think, maybe he was so drugged out he doesn't remember. No, it was nothing like that. He played on so many sessions, and a lot of the stuff maybe never made it onto a record.
And a lot of it, I don't even think he was credited. They didn't credit a lot of session musicians back then.
Could be possible. Yeah.
I know in
I think they did arrangements
in Europe.
He was on "She's a Rainbow" for the Stones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That one he did get for the arrangement. But in Europe, what did they call Motown? Tamala, I think Tamla or something. It had a different name in England. And Paul McCartney said his favorite influence was the guy who played on Tamala, which is Motown albums. That bass player didn't say his name till years later when they found out it was James Jamerson. Wasn't credited because those guys did 5 to 10 sessions a day. And they just read chord charts and they just played. So it wasn't easy being a session guy. So. But it would have sucked if they just stayed as session guys, like Led Zeppelin. They never, but it was in their destiny to be the great band that they became. So, 1973. Oh, you would say something, Joe? Did you want to say something?
Oh, I was trying to think, how would a musician feel if he was in the Kinks or the Who, and you're in a studio session? It costs money. Time is money. And you know that if you can't get your parts down in a certain amount of time, little Jimmy Page is in the back room waiting to come in.
Yeah.
I think there was probably a bit of animosity towards these session players because they were there in the bullpen in case the guys just were wasting time, not getting their parts down in a timely manner.
But I wonder why the Who, because Pete Townsend, was an ego. I can't imagine having him say, "Oh, let's have Jimmy Page come on in this song."
But did he always have the ego, though? Did he always have it?
Oh yeah, he always had an
from the
attitude.
beginning? Because I
Oh,
know he took like out the I know with starting with you know how they started with the concept albums. He started taking control like creatively,
yeah.
but
He
he always
always
had
had
an ego.
a little chip on his shoulder, like in interviews early on and stuff, you know. But anyway, so want to talk about 1973. So Joe, where were you in 1973?
I was in Katona, New York.
High school, middle
I was
school,
in seventh grade.
seventh grade.
The Mets were
Manny,
in the World Series
we never,
that year.
huh?
The Mets were in the World Series that year. That's one thing I remember.
Oh, that's right.
Mets had
That's
a great season.
they won. They won that year, right?
No, they lost to
No,
the Oakland A's.
69 they won. Yeah, yeah. Well, no, did they have the same team? Willie Mays and
Well, yeah, Willie Mays was on the '73 team. Tom Seaver.
Tom
Yeah,
Seaver. Who's the other guy? Oh, I forget his name. I used to really like. Oh, Rusty Staub.
Rusty Staub was on the team. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it's basically the same team.
well, no, well, they were somewhat different.
Yeah. Wow.
You were too young, Cheech. You were too
Was
young.
was Reggie Jackson on the Oakland A's?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. That
yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know. I was waiting for my sister to be born in 1973.
I'm waiting for your sister. I didn't even exist.
No, Manny was. You came 20 years later, right? You're born 93.
1994. Which
Oh,
what year of music was that we talked about?
oh, you made it to Counterparts.
Counterparts. So by Rush, that'll be my Rush age counterparts.
Yeah, your rush age. Um. Okay. So great albums that came out that year: Dark Side of the Moon, Leonard Skinner. Since I'm on the Dylan kick, Al Cooper produced that. Uh, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Elton John. Wings, Band on the Run. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath comes out this year.
Man, what a year!
You know, Lou Reed, Berlin. Queen's first album.
Mhm.
Your band Genesis selling England by the Pound.
Yeah, massive.
Alice Cooper, Billion Dollar Babies. Quadrophenia. Brothers and Sisters by the Allman Brothers. Eagles Desperado. And we always got to bring up this movie. Maybe it's me. Tubular Bells. Mike Oldfield came out that year as well, which
Oh,
is
so
like
wait, when did the Exorcist come out?
1973.
Oh, there we go.
Same. There's a picture of Ozzy holding up Linda Blair like a little baby, kind of thing. Insanity. All right. Houses of the Holy came out in 1973 on Atlantic Records. Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones, they had gotten home studios, so it was easy for them to write the material and then present it to the rest of the guys, opposed to like jamming and jamming and jamming. They had arrangements already made out. And me and Joe talked about this on our phone call. Stargrove, Mick Jagger studio was recorded in. Headley Grange with the Rolling Stones mobile studio. Olympic, I would say Olympic. Olympic, I think of the base in London, Ireland. Olympic. Jimmy Page produces, and like I always say, he does not get enough credit as a producer in the movie. You guys saw that. He should have.
Mhm.
What is just the way he uses microphones as placements and stuff like that. And Eddie Kramer is now the engineer. So Eddie Kramer was on. I think he did one or two. Joe, I don't remember. I don't remember if he did one or two, but I know he did two. I think it was two. Um, I just wonder why Andy Johns isn't on this one, who did Led Zeppelin 4, which to me is one of the greatest produced albums, engineered albums of all time. So the singles are over, and if you see my sailing, let me know, Manny, because that means I'm not
Yeah,
doing
I'll say lower it.
yeah. Singles: Over the Hills and Far Away, Dancing Days, Did You Make Her? as we
Wait, is
know,
that
it's
really did your maker? Dude, wow. Is that how you say it?
did you
No.
make?
I mean,
No,
it makes sense though. Did your
Andy,
I
you
said
had it right.
tire
You
maker.
had it right.
No,
A long time
Lincoln.
ago, a couple episodes ago, you said Jamaica.
Okay,
It
That's
is.
great. That's
I always,
crazy.
I've always called it tire maker, like the
Yeah.
American.
But the word spelled out was, did you make her?
Yeah. The Crunge. It sold 10 million copies when it came out. Pretty amazing, right?
Mhm.
Um, so Page got a more sharper, brighter sound. Now, critics called this a diverse collection of rockers, ballads, reggae, funk, 50s rock and roll. Um, so it on the Billboard chart, it went to #1 in USA, #1 in UK, #8 in Germany, and this is what I don't understand. It went to 24. It only made it to 24 in Denmark. I don't know why. I just find that interesting. Like,
So
why?
random. Wait, what about in the States? Number one?
#1. Yeah, it went #1.
Oh, wow. So, okay, wow. Okay.
Okay. All right. So starting off with the song remains the same. So I mean, like I said, it's hard to analyze, but I'm just gonna give you what I think it is. So Plant says he's been around the world, and the root of it is there's a common denominator for everybody. Uh, that's his quote for the song. Um, it's open for interpretation. It's a poem, pretty much, the lyrics, with not a lot of meaning. About a dream, anywhere he wanted to go, anything he wanted to know. He brings up places, California, India, Hawaii. It's a song for the people. So, I really couldn't get a lot out of the meanings. It sounds like a poem, pretty much a lyrical kind of poem. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Manny,
I think that sounds about right. I mean, just from my perspective, I think well, first of all, like I think musically it's a great opener. I mean, I think
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I may have to ask check this, but if Led Zeppelin didn't use it as an opener for their concerts, I'll be shocked because it's a great opener from that, guitar riff. And then when the drums come in, like dun 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 dun
Yeah,
dun, and then also, yeah, lyrically, I think the song's okay. I mean, and I'm assuming Page and Plant wrote it.
yeah. It's not.
Yes.
There's not a lot going on lyrically. It's a beautiful lyrics. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, but not a lot of meaning from.
Well, you know what's funny? You know what's funny? Jimmy Page in 1993. So he discussed what was going to happen with the song. He says originally it was going to be an instrumental, and it was going to be an overture that led into the Rain song, right?
Right.
And then Robert had different ideas. He said, "I can come up with some quick lyrics," and he said, "This is pretty good. Better get some lyrics quick." And he starts laughing.
So they probably in the studio without thinking too much, and the lyrics are great. Now musically, it's a beast. It's totally a beast. Great intro, great guitar work. The dynamics are amazing in the song. How I had a dream. They go from high to low and everything. Powerful drums. And the thing about it, the bass line is insane. So for you bass players out there, John Paul Jones goes into a high register on the bass, and it's like way past the 14th fret, and he's playing a melodic bass line, and it's a very driven, syncopated rhythm. That's my take on the music. Any comments?
And by the way, one more thing for that dude from like a couple videos that was saying that we need to check our resources. This time he employed his trademark Gibson EDS 1275 double neck guitar. So
Yeah,
so can't say nothing, commentator.
exactly. And on one song, he played a Stratocaster or a Telecaster or a Strat. I have a, and I know that for a fact.
It's Telecaster sounds right.
I think it's a Telecaster.
Hey,
Yeah.
has Jimmy ever played a Strat? I never seen him with one.
No, Telecaster and the Yardbirds, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he brings it back. I'll spoiler alert, the Crunge to get that funk.
Yep.
But I don't know how to feel about this, Joe. This song to me is way better on The Song Remains the Same than the recorded version. I think it has more energy and
You think the album has more energy than the
the
soundtrack?
song, the song remains.
Yeah. Okay.
When they're playing it live, it just sounds better. I don't
Well,
know.
and it's the opening, right? Because I think they better have used this for their opening sets.
No,
because
no, it's
No?
about the first song. Maybe
I'm
fourth
surprised because this sounds like an opener.
no. Rock and Roll is the
Okay, that's another good one. Yeah. So
Yeah.
On the '77 tour, they opened with "The Song Remains the Same."
Oh, okay. See, this
Every
is what Joe on here. This is why Joe's the expert.
I love it because dude, this song sounds it's like it gets you in the mood. Like I think it sets the tone for the album.
Totally
Yeah, the
does.
guitar is very bright and,
Yep.
and I think very upbeat and positive.
Yeah.
I really consider the album as a whole to be the happiest the band was
Yep.
in their lives, really.
Yeah,
Um,
I
because
totally.
they just, they had financial security. Uh, they have creative freedom. They were very successful. I think they had the touring down where it wasn't a grind because they had the Starship.
Yeah.
I think
Make it
they were
fun.
at their happiest in their career.
Oh yeah.
I get things like that vibe because like after they did Dancing Days and they listened to the playback on the front lawn of the outside the mobile studio, they were all dancing to it. They were just so happy. So and they must have all been getting along too. So that's the best thing.
Yeah.
No ego.
And then unfortunately, a lot of back after this. Plants car accident, right? And then
Yeah.
his poor kids passed.
So this is the beginning of
Jimmy's
the down.
drug addiction started to kick in.
You know what's funny? Before we move on with John Bonham, dude, in the documentary, like, dude, John Bonham was a family man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know what happened to him. And anyway, we'll talk about it in the future episodes. But thinking, what happened to him?
He joined Led Zeppelin.
Well, it's funny, Cheech. So I will say, like, back to that ass checker a couple of videos ago, he was mad because he said, John Bonham was not drunk. So I will agree with him because, he wasn't drunk. So what happened to him?
He became drunk. He became
So sad.
He hated to be away from his family for weeks at a time. He loved playing in the band, but he had a lot of trouble being away.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear my black dog in the background, by the way?
I think, I'll be honest with you, I think it's appropriate, though.
It's being very distracting.
Well, good, though. And Cheech, and Joe, I found something kind of interesting. So Plant, according to him, the song is about how you can travel halfway around the world and people are pretty much the same. That's what the song's about. I mean, straightforward.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying, like a song for the people.
It's an anthem. It's like a rock anthem.
Yeah, not a lot in it. The Rain song too. It's a little bit more romantic. You want to move on from The Song Remains the Same? Anything?
Oh, Joe, any last comments on that song?
On The Song Remains the Same?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect song to open the album with.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Great song to open a concert with. Gets people in the mood.
Think about it. First album, Good Times, Bad Times, amazing. Second album, Whole Lot of Love, amazing.
Yeah.
Third album, The Immigrant Song, amazing.
Yeah, dude, they don't. Oh, man. Black.
They knew it was an opening. They knew how to write an opening song.
Well, by the way, that's what the documentary made sure to also let the viewer know that Jimmy Page is saying, I didn't want to become a singles band. I wanted to become an album band. So it would make sense why they put so much effort into their openers, close, kind of like the flow of the album.
I think it was bands didn't want to be single bands, like rock bands. The DJs kind of made the singles. You know what I mean? Stairway to Heaven wasn't a single. DJ just played it. You know, it wasn't put out as a single. Maybe Rock and Roll was or whatever. And the funniest song is, you know, the famous song Frankenstein by Edgar Winter?
Mm-hmm.
That was a B-side.
And that became the hit.
And DJ played it. So, like, DJs had so much power in the 70s with bands to make or break bands. You know, they could play the worst song on the album or they could play the best song on the album. And that helped a band sell records. You know, so DJs are...
Well, you know what's funny? You know what's funny, Cheech? So Paige says in the documentary that the FM radio DJs would play whole albums, though, at one point. I don't know if you knew this. That's why Paige, he said, it's crazy because Led Zeppelin were one of the first bands where, you know, they went to the record label and saying, nope, we have the record. We're going to release it like this. You know, you're not, you know, it's just crazy how that process was back then.
They had, Zeppelin had creative freedom and the DJs also had creative freedom.
Yeah.
You know, so a DJ could play anything they wanted until, I believe it came into the 80s when, even up to the 80s, there were bands that were played on the radio that didn't even have record deals. I don't think Bon Jovi was signed when he got played on the radio. You know, he just got played. I know Zebra, the band Zebra, wasn't signed and they were played on the radio. So they could play unsigned bands on the radio, you know.
I think the 80s MTV became the
but it was like the DJs lost their freedom in the mid 80s. That's when programs. Have you ever watched WKRP in Cincinnati? Joe remembers that. That's a great show. You should look that up, Manny, on YouTube. The great 70s show about a radio station and how a radio station
works.
works.
Do you have the YouTube? I'm assuming. Send me the link.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It had it had remember Lonnie Anderson? Oh my God, she was hot. She was like the secretary. I'm going back to my adolescence, my pre-puberty days. Anyway, Dr. Johnny Fever was the DJ, but it's just the freedom that they had. They had this freedom where, like I said, you know, you could play a whole album. You know,
from today's perspective, how the times have changed.
The DJs are dead. There's no DJs anymore.
Now it's TikTok and trends decides what's popular.
I mean, is there a DJ even on digital radio or somebody that talks? There used to be.
No, there still is. There still is. But I'll be honest with you, their audience is, you know,
well,
it's not going to be the
DJs. They became celebrities. Wolfman Jack. Remember Joe Wolfman Jack? Scott Muni, Carol Miller. So stations, WPLJ, WNEW, there was one in Long Island, WAPP. Like if you lived in this area, PLJ was it, you know, PLJ and NEW for rock, 95.9. And that lasted for years. And in the DJs, I remember I met Carol Miller at High Street Roadhouse. I was in awe. It was like, oh my God, she had the voice of radio. You know, they still do get the let out, right, Joe? Is it on NEW?
I don't know.
I know it's been years, but they would, and he could get the let out every Tuesday night, and that's all they played up until, like, I don't know, they're probably still doing it, you know. But who listens to the radio? You know, I mean, it's like
I'm telling you, no one does. Only people over maybe 30, my age, but. I'll be honest with you, I don't listen to the radio.
Yeah, it's a dying.
It's a sad thing. It's a different world, you know.
You wonder if they're even gonna still put them in cars and just make it, you know, digital shit, you know, like that. Who knows? You know, I mean, I had a Honda that had a tape deck in it.
Yo, someone's gonna be like, "What's a tape deck?"
My kid. Remember, I had a CRV before these idiots were taking the Cadillac converter. And they got me, and I love this car. So when my kid was little, you know, I had the cassette. We bought a cassette of one of these bands. What's that romance band? My something romance.
My Chemical Romance.
Who I love. I
grew up with them.
Great band. and my kid really was into My Chemical Romance and that whole what is it? Not goth, but whatever you call that scene, emo.
It's emo.
Yeah,
Emo goth, but it's emo.
yeah. She got into the emo, so I said, let's get it. I bought it for her, and you should have seen this kid trying to put it in a tape deck. I don't know how to do this. I have no idea. It's so funny because it's like, oh, you could download this, you could do that, but you can't put this little thing. And of course, if you put it in backwards, it wouldn't fit. You had to turn it around, but she didn't know that. Or the days of the tape coming out, and you had to like spin.
Dude, I have to thank my dad to teach me that because he's all about cassette tapes. So he taught me about that, how to clean it, how to.
And every then at the temple, and Joe will know. You'll hear our fellow temple worker Marcel will be like, Maxwell tapes.
Maxwell is the best.
Maxwell
Yeah.
tapes are the
Dude,
best.
Maxwell tapes. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh God. Yeah, they were the only ones that I still have them. Anyway.
My first copy of Houses of the Holy was on 8-track.
Oh wow.
8-track.
And then you're gonna have another someone in the comments say, "What's 8-track?"
Yeah.
Well, 8-track. I grew up. My uncle, rest in peace, had a blue radio. It was huge. That I think it had a cassette, an album in it, and an 8-track in it. It was like the state of the art thing. It was like that was the thing. I remember my uncle always playing Three Dog Night on 8-track. And then I got I don't know if you'll remember this, man. You won't. Joe won't remember this because he might have been too old. But 2XL was a robot. It was a toy. You ever hear that? Okay, so back in the 70s, there was a robot called 2XL, an educational robot, and we got it for Christmas, me and my sister. And its eyes would light up, and it was just like you play games with it and stuff. But it wasn't a computer; it was an 8-track. So then, years later, I found all my uncle's old 8-tracks and my parents' old 8-tracks, and I would play, 8-tracks in this 2XL thing, and it would crank out like Savage, cool. Carole King, I don't know, it's a fun 70s note.
Yeah, I'm about to buy an 8-track player and like.
I'm surprised they didn't make a comeback as a retro thing.
Well, I'll be honest with you, dude. Like the vinyls, I mean, there's some people out there, young people, discovering cassette tapes, 8-track, and Walkmans, the classic cassette Walkmans.
Oh, everyone had a Walkman. You had it both ears. It was classic.
All right.
Okay.
On that note, next song, the Rain song. Rain.
Okay. All right. It's a slow ballad, romantic lyrics. Longing and heartache about falling in love or being in love, giving the song to a woman. He's basically giving the song to a woman, and I love this line. She speaks to him with her eyes. It's pretty magic.
That's a great line.
A great line. And I'm going to tell you why, because it comes from his influences. He might have lost his love, the coldness of my winter. Never thought it would go. So I think it's about lost love. I think it's about.
It's a ballad, right? I'm assuming, just based on the sound.
Yeah.
And so it's a heartbreak ballad, or
it's my analyzation of it. Giving your heart to a woman, and she speaks to you with her eyes, and it just doesn't work out.
So it's love lost or love forlorn, or
I think it's love lost. Like he wanted this woman and it just didn't work out, or she didn't want him. He gave himself to her. Is my opinion. I don't need any ass checkers out there to say no. It's not about that.
Yeah, just disclaimer. We're not.
Beautiful song. And in the rain,
dude, is that a slide guitar part during like those sections? Like, damn, yeah. Oh man, dude.
Fun fact, Joe, I forgot to bring up that Joe should bring up about the Rain song. It's kind of a fuck you to some band, some little band.
Yeah, because I found that too. One of you bring it up.
this little band from Liverpool made a comment about Led Zeppelin not having enough
Oh,
ballads.
oh, well, yeah, that's been overblown. But yeah, George Harrison knew Jimmy Page, and one time I don't know they were out somewhere where they ran into each other, and Harrison said the only problem with your band is you don't have any ballads. So it wasn't like a feud or anything. He didn't say it
Yeah,
angrily, or he was just saying your band doesn't have ballads. And so Jimmy went and created the Rain song and used the first two notes from Something
yeah.
by George Harrison.
Was it a nod to like? I know they love the Beatles. So it could have been a nod, or it could have been just like, well, here you go, here's your ballad, or
Well,
was George?
well, well, the quiet Beatle, George Harrison. It's interesting because I think this confirmed fact. Page wrote the Rain song in response to George Harrison complaining. George Harrison, the quiet Beatle, right, complaining to Led Zeppelin drummer John Bonham that the group Led Zeppelin were unable to write ballads. And this is a quote from Light and Shade Conversations with Jimmy Page. George was talking to Bonzo one evening and said, the problem with you guys is that you never do ballads. I said, I'll give him a ballad. And I wrote Rain Song, which appears on Houses of the Holy. And he says, even in fact, you'll notice I even quote something in the song's first two chords, like Joe mentioned. And I hear that. Actually, I didn't even know that, and I hear it.
And
So
I think I'm gonna cut you off. I think bands like the Beatles, as great as the Beatles are, might have been a little jealous seeing these younger guys coming up that are huge rock stars, playing helter skelter, heavy helter skelter kind of music, because the Beatles invented that with helter skelter. And maybe we're like, wow, this is the future of music. Oh, this is rubbish. You know what I mean? That kind of thing,
right, right.
Um, but yeah, so he took his influences from John Keats, Percy Shelley, and Shakespeare on that one.
Exquisite lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much meaning to it, but it's poetry.
Plant doesn't mention autumn as one of the seasons of emotion. I found that interesting. But the other seasons are the seasons of emotion.
Yeah.
Well, I think autumn. How
he mentions autumn in Ramble On. The autumn moon.
Oh yeah, you're right. That is interesting. Maybe he forgot it.
Well,
no, I'm kidding. No, I think he did on purpose. I think autumn is always a season that's. But he could have incorporated though. I mean, that is interesting.
But what I get from the lyrics is that it's a song about love lost in devotion, because of the line, I curse the gloom that set upon us, but I know that I love you so.
Yeah.
So he cursed the gloom that set upon us.
Yeah, so once again,
breakup.
And I felt the coldness of my winter. I like that. I felt the coldness of my winter.
It's going to be a theme. That's going to be a theme in the lyrics. Coldness and winter.
Well, it makes sense, because I was going to say autumn is usually associated with, you guys know the song like Autumn Leaves? It's usually more kind of like that melancholy about life.
Mm-hmm.
Those changes. Not really with romance per se. So he's smart. He knows what he's doing. And I like this lyric. These are the seasons of emotion. Like, so poetic. And the wind, they rise. And like the wind, they rise and fall.
John Keats, right there.
Great, yeah. Great. John Keats right there.
And winter and cold is going to come up a lot, And you said autumn, it's funny. And I mentioned this before in one of the episodes. As a kid, a dumb kid who always heard lyrics wrong. All of my love, I remember singing, autumn, my love, autumn, my love. And my older cousin was like, what are you singing? that lead band, that lead band I heard on the radio.
Led Zeppelin.
Yes, you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. Or what did I say to somebody once, to an older guy? I love that song "Freebird" by that guy Leonard Skinner. I love that dude. And they're like, Leonard Skinner's a band,
But named after their gym teacher.
Exactly. And I feel like that every day at work when I try to talk to the cool kids next to me, the Daquans and the Ravs, and I feel like I don't fit in with the cool kids because I'm 55 and they're
Cheech,
24.
don't worry, man. I don't fit in with them,
I
dude. It's a whole new world out there,
They laugh at me all the time. Like
dude. You can't win with them, dude. Generation,
I'm the
dude,
kid in
Gen
the
Z and Gen Y are cruel.
really. But but when they need to know facts about something, ask Cheech about the 80s or the 90s. They come to you know.
um, wait. So, wait, Cheech, did you talk about the music on this song?
No, thank you.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to the music because musically the song is like stunning.
Yeah.
So I right here. There's this dude named Gavin Edwards, whoever he is. I think he's some critic, and he said that Plant and Page rose to the challenge for George Harrison's claims, and the band created 7 minutes of exquisite heartache. So
what is up with the Beatles, man? Like everyone, like Dylan, like just Dylan's.
dude, wasn't that weird? Yeah.
What was the name of that song?
Well, he was parodying
Norwegian
a
Wood.
fourth time around, but then he was making fun of John Lennon's songwriting on Norwegian Wood.
And that song is Norwegian Wood.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm a Loser from a melody from Dylan. So it's definitely
dude. And Lennon, it's funny because Lennon actually idolized Dylan, but then after their encounter, their relationship turned sour, and then on the Plastic Ono Band, the song "God," he says, "I don't believe in Zimmerman," like totally. So he's done with him. But yeah, they had this weird rivalry. George Harrison with Led Zeppelin. I mean,
for the three biggest things in the world practically at that time, in different genres. Because, Led Zeppelin came out when the Beatles were still together. Beatles broke up in 1971 officially. Yeah. So Zeppelin came out in 1968. And the Beatles were, at the peak, of the hippie movement, And
I think, what is it? I think it was Led Zeppelin 2 that toppled Abbey Road. Was it Zepp 2?
Yeah. And that probably Beatles.
That probably pissed them off.
Because understand this new music. This is like, I'm going to say it. It's a caveman carving away a stone at heavy metal. That's what it is. And what the hell? It's not melodic. This guy, sounds like he's humping his microphone. You know what I mean? It's like, but they're wrong. So, Rain Song, great guitar intro. I believe the double neck is played on this, Joe. On the Rain Song, I think the double neck guitar.
It was live.
Yeah.
I thought he used acoustic guitar in the studio.
Okay, I mean, I don't know. He could have used it. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't.
So let me just for the future, dude, he might comment again on our video. So apparently, Cheech, he used his Gibson double neck guitar for both songs. The song remains the same, and then he switched to the bottom 6 string for the Rain Song.
Right. Okay.
We used it.
So in case we get ass checked by somebody,
we don't want to hear it.
It was a jab, as we talked about, to George Harrison, Something, which is my all-time favorite Beatles song. The lyrics are beautiful, as we said, very John Keats poetry. The string arrangement by John Paul.
Oh.
I mean, he doesn't get enough credit. The guy he was an arranger, and he's just amazing arranger, putting arrangements together on instruments.
He was like the George Martin of the band.
Mm-hmm. And piano. The drums are nice. They're not over powerful, but they fit, and they're just pure emotion. It's all pure emotion.
Dude, and that slide guitar, is that a slide guitar part? What is that? Right? Dude, it's stunning. I think that's the best part of the song.
Yeah, it's definitely a slide. Okay, anything else on that?
I think, Joe, any last comments, thoughts?
This is the kind of song that separates Led Zeppelin from a band like Black Sabbath.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Cheech, I'll be honest with you, I don't think they have any
Let me think.
Well,
they have a ballad. on
With
Sabbath.
AC/DC, it's hard rocking from the first song to the last song, and it's relentless,
Black
But
Sabbath
with Houses of
has
the Holy, it's like it ebbs and flows.
on
Very
Sabbath.
high first.
Who are you? It's a ballad. Who are you? But it's more of a psychedelic ballad. But it doesn't come close. No. Actually, what is that awesome Sabbath ballad? There's on volume 4.
I was gonna say maybe Iron Man might be a ballad.
Oh, what's
No,
the song called?
changes.
It changes. Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
that's yeah. So
Wait, is
there's
that the one with the bad album cover? With those two those two pilots? Remember
no,
that weird album?
that's Never Say
Volume
Die.
4.
No, that's
It's a shot of
Ozzy.
Ozzy. Yeah, go with
Oh shoot! Okay. So they did ballads, but I will say, I agree with Joe. This is a song that, dude, man, it sets them apart from their peers. And no offense, it came from a part where they were gonna give the Beatles a run for their money and George Harrison. So
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
yeah. So it was maybe it was a good idea. He said that, but they already Stairway to Heaven is a ballad in a sense. It's
I'll be honest with you, I don't see it as a ballad. Just my opinion.
this is
No
a
one get
pure,
mad out there. No, I don't need no ass checkers. Like, I don't think it's a ballad, but that's just my opinion.
This is a pure ballad. This
Yeah.
is pure. Okay, this is fascinating. The next one, Over the Hills and Far Away. I really did some deep research on where Plant got his influence on this. And once again, I dug deep into the world of Tolkien. And we talked about this, Manny. The Book of Lost Tales, which came out in 1923, before The Hobbit, before Lord of the Rings. And it's a song called Over Old Hills and Far Away. And it's longing to escape to a mystical land. It's the the precursor to Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
So, being the historian, Joe, that you said that Plant was, he dug deep on this one. You have to be a Tolkien head to go. This is before Lord of the Rings kind of stuff. So I thought that was a fun fact to bring up. So am I good, Manny?
Yeah, you've been good. Yeah, just as long as you avoid that. Yep.
Over the Hills and Far Away, a love song, a lady asking. Wait, am I saying this wrong? He's asking a lady to be with him. He tells her a story of how he's been loved and rejected, many times been bitten. I like that line. He found the perfect woman, and he's finding meaning in his life to escape the mundane world with this girl. Many dreams come true and have a silver lining. And I know Joe knows that, and we could let Joe explain that. But for me, it's basically about falling in love, but telling the girl, I've been fucked over before, kind of thing, and I don't want to go through that again. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I've done that. So how do you feel about that, Manny?
Wait, what?
I feel about that.
Well, you know what's funny? The Tolkien influence is interesting. I mean, I was when I was like doing my research on this song. There's debate over. You're right. There's definitely that Tolkien poem over Old Hills and Far Away. But yeah, the song at the most simplest level is what I see from the lyrics. Is frustration, man, has with relationships, and with yeah, it's just frustration. And then obviously there's that influence from that Tolkien poem, and then that kind of like that. Plant is he does such a good job of getting that Tolkien influence and creating a vibe. But then like lyrically, the song is man who's just frustrated. Where I think when the comes in where he says, many times I loved and many times have been bitten. Many times I've gazed along the open road. Many times I've lied and many times I've listened. Right. So
Yep.
it's just yeah. I think you hit it on the nose, and great mention of that poem, which I
And
think where that title comes from.
I want Joe to finish the line. Many dreams come true and have a silver lining. And what comes next, Joe?
I live for my dream and a pocket full of gold.
You want to explain that? Because I know
Well, I thought it was about the accumulation of wealth, but I think looking back now, you really can't get too far with a pocket full of gold. It'll probably get you to the next town or your next dream. So I don't think it's about wealth, that line.
And it's also a drug reference too.
Oh, well, yeah, he used to have fun in concert. He'd say, in a
Yeah,
pocket full of gold, Acapulco gold.
because Acapulco Gold was the big weed at that time coming out of Mexico.
So it could be like multiple meanings.
Yeah,
That's pretty brilliant. Pretty brilliant. But I think I agree with Joe's like second interpretation. I think that's what it. I live for my dream in a pocket full of gold. It's like very poetic.
I need to just get by, but keep your dreams alive. Don't let the temple destroy them. I don't know if Manny heard me.
Oh well, yeah. The temple. You would be singing this over the hills and far away.
Wait, it's Thursday. I have a pocket full of gold. Man, you have a pocket full of gold.
Jeez, you got dreams or drugs?
I got to say this. After that verse, Jimmy goes, actually, the whole band just goes off. But Jimmy does one of the best guitar solos, I think, of his career. And this is one song I can say without a doubt is better live. There's a bootleg recording of Zeppelin that's called For Badge Holders Only.
California?
Yeah, it was done in California at the LA Forum. And I used to listen to it with my Sony Walkman.
Yeah.
And I used to just like zone out and listen to it. And when he would go into that guitar solo live on that particular bootleg, I swear he had an out of body experience. Yeah. It's like either that or the way it was recorded and the guitar was like bouncing back. It just was like otherworldly. It was incredible. Very rare to hear something like that. It was great. Oh, yeah. And of course, John Paul Jones on bass just keeps up with Jimmy.
Well, I was gonna say it's a great mellow intro. I love the intro. It starts off mellow, then it just kicks ass, and it goes into a great rhythm. It goes into a great guitar solo, beautiful lyrics, and the coolest thing, I don't know if you guys pay attention to it, the bass line underneath the guitar solo is so funky. It's like a Motown line.
Yeah.
It's just like Lemon Song kind of thing. And then I love the ending, how it goes into those effects.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of weird, chimey. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a weird, it's just beautiful. It's weird how it ends, And I remember.
I feel like this sounds like I don't know if you guys would agree. It's like a sequel to kind of like a spiritual sequel to Ramble On, and I think this is one of the definitive Led Zeppelin songs. Like I know maybe a fan might disagree with me, but that's what they're all about. Like this type of song.
I remember first time I heard it, young Cheech. I was sleeping at my friend's house. Kid Angelo, who was a really bad influence on young Cheech, and we had like those slumber parties, and we would sleep with the radio on WPLJ, and that song came on, and like I got up to have water or something. And I went back to sleep, and I'm listening, and I keep hearing, many times I've loved me. And I couldn't get it out of my head. And I'm like, okay, no, it's Led Zeppelin. So I said to my friend Angelo, you know this song? Many times, many something. He's like, I don't know that song. I said, it's Led Zeppelin. So I got so frustrated. I remember it was with my mother and my father, my sister at Corvettes. And I went up to the, the record place, and I said to the guy who works there, I need to buy this song by Led Zeppelin. It goes like this. Many times he's like, wait a second. That's Over the Hills and Far Away. And I'm like, oh, what album? Houses of the Holy. I bought it. I was about 8 years old, like 10 maybe. I don't know. So I love throwing my stupid stories out there. Uh, anyway, so any more on that song?
Joe?
It is so good live. I
Yeah,
think Jimmy loved playing that one.
yeah.
I like it better than Dazed and Confused now.
Okay.
But and it just when he comes out of the guitar solo and he kind of it ascends. I can't describe it musically, but it's just incredible. And like that bootleg I was telling you about, it's like at the end of it, it's just like how can he not get a standing ovation?
Yeah,
Amazing,
it is incredible.
very energetic. I don't know, it's just great stuff.
Definitely. So the next number, the Crunge. Am I saying it wrong? I always think I feel like I'm saying
The
it wrong.
the crunch, the crunch,
Crunge.
Yeah,
crunch. Dude, I love this song.
It lyrics are funny. This is like the it's almost like Dylan. These are like Dylan lyrics. These are definitely like Dylan lyrics. I got a kick out of them because there's absurdity in here. I had a good fling.
Oh yeah, dude. First of all, the length is Dylan. It screams
Yeah.
Dylan.
Oh yeah.
no verses.
No verses,
No, no,
no
yeah, it's all paragraphs. So two paragraphs.
and no bridge.
You,
You
you,
know.
you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? Just for me, dude. First of all, I don't know how you guys feel about the song, but I love this song. Like this is one of my, this one and the one on Physical Graffiti. That's also Trample Underfoot. Dude,
Oh
these were the first Led Zeppelin songs I listened to when I was back when I was 17 or 18. I discovered Led Zeppelin. I discovered Dyer Mak'er, and the Crunge and Trample Underfoot. So I did not know what Led Zeppelin was about. I didn't know what hard rock was, but dude, dude, good memories with this song.
yeah.
Like I love this song and Trample Underfoot, which I kind of see as a sequel.
It's a funky. Yeah, it's really funky with the clavichords that he played on it. Stevie Wonder. I think he was listening to a lot of Stevie Wonder, John Paul Jones, in the mid '70s. So
Again,
it
I
good
love the rhythm section on it.
on
The
what?
rhythm section.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me get into this big time. A good fling, but he is sure, a, but he is a sure good friend. So basically, his friend had a fling. That's the lyric. If you read the first part of it, Joe, a good fling, but he is sure a good friend tells about a girl. So I'm kind of thinking like his friend had a fling. It's not that Plant's having the fling.
I didn't know it was a fling. It's not. It says I want to tell you about my good thing. I ain't
Oh,
disclosing
thing.
the name.
Oh
Or
my
she is a
God.
good
I,
friend.
I heard it as fling.
Dude, geez, you had that same problem. Remember I told you that Bob Dylan episode where they messed. See, that's a problem with the. I want to tell you about my good thing, yeah. But you know what's funny? In some lyrics I saw fling too.
This is
On
off the actual album.
So that would be accurate what Joe's holding.
Yeah, so you saw fling on some lyrics. Oh,
But you know
okay.
what's funny? The fling could make sense too because he's saying I ain't disclosing no names. So
Yeah, so he's fling with a girl. He's messing a good thing with a girl, and she's in the newspaper looking at me. Why? Do you see that, Joe?
Must be a model.
Right? Okay, so
Well,
it's in.
Plant says I'm not going to tell you where she's from because then you won't come again.
Yeah.
Uh, Let me tell you about my girl. Open a newspaper and what do I see? See my girl looking at me. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of wild.
So it's a
He sees the
model.
girl's picture in the newspaper.
Sees a girl's picture in the newspaper. He wants the girl, um, but she loves another man. And then he quotes himself as like Mr. Pitiful. And that's a jab. That's not a jab. I'm sorry, not a jab. That's a nod to Otis Redding, the famous song Mr. Pitiful. And then he starts to quote James Brown, where's the bridge? Could you find the bridge? Like James Brown was always like, take me to the bridge, take me to the bridge. Now he's saying, where's the bridge? could you find the bridge? And then think in the James Brown style, and it ends with, where's the confounded bridge?
Yeah, I love that. Where's that confounding bridge? There's no
So
bridge in the song.
there's no bridge. There is no bridge, and
It's just I never noticed that.
it's basically him looking for a girl, and he finds her in the newspaper. You know, he has a fling with the girl, and he ends up seeing her in the newspaper. That's all I got out of that. Makes sense, Joe. You finding anything else?
I'm just blown away that it's like a run-on sentence, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Again, the rhythm section is so dominant in the song, but
Oh
you
yeah.
can tell Plant is having so much fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just feels free to do what he wants to do in writing a
But
song.
it's just a jam. It's a jam.
It's a
Mhm.
jam.
It's a 9/8 time for those musicians out there. That is a tough time signature to play in. I've been there many
Wait, so
times.
that's 9/8. Wait, so
Yeah.
Cheech, like, so what would 9/8 sound like? Like, what would it sound
So
like? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9.
subdivisions is 7/8. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. Okay, so you have 7 beats. 9/8 is gonna be 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. So when you do
Woo!
the
Yeah, that's tough.
up into 9, we used to do 5/8. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. So sounds like but the way Bonham plays it, it doesn't sound odd. It's just
I was
funky.
gonna say that it doesn't. Yeah, I was
It
gonna
doesn't
say.
sound like an odd meter. It evolved out of a jam session from Bonham's beat, and then John Paul Jones comes in with insane, almost fusion James Brown kind of bass line. Jimmy plays dissonant chords that are going against the harmony, and Jimmy Page had that guitar pattern for many years, and he didn't know what to do with it. It's just something that he was messing with. And there's 2 verses and no chorus, no bridge. They keep looking for the bridge. They don't find it. And the joke is, have you seen the confounded bridge? And who says that, Joe?
According to what I researched, it's Robert Plant. It sounds like an American accent, so he's definitely having a lot of fun with us. I
Yeah,
thought it was near in the studio, but it was not from what I read. It's
right.
Robert Plant responding to himself. Where's that confounded bridge?
And then
Oh,
just some.
and one thing I just asked checked myself, but dude, Page actually played a Fender Strat on this song,
Ah,
Oh, I thought it was a
and you
telly.
hear him depressing a whammy bar at the end of each phrase
So it was a Strat, not a telly.
on this song. So just before I get fact checked, but he did play a Fender Strat on this one song.
Yeah,
interesting. I
I thought
didn't think he did
telly.
stuff like that until he went solo and performed with the Firm. It seemed like he changed all his guitars up, changed them out.
Yeah, interesting.
I wonder if the Strat is better to play funk music on. Maybe I'm not guitar
Oh,
expert, but
most
Yeah,
definitely, most
yeah.
definitely. A telly is more blues,
mm,
my opinion. Blues.
makes
A
sense.
Tommy Bolin, the great guitar player, played a telly. I mean a Strat, and he got some of the funkiest guitar lines ever. Great. Hendrix played a Strat. That's always the thing. Like Gibson or Strat. Pick a side. What do you like better as a sound? Or SG. Tony Iommi and Angus played SGs. So they all have different tones that are amazing.
I've seen SG mostly with like heavy metal or hard rock though.
Yeah, like Sabbath
Like
and
mostly.
DC. I'm a Les Paul guy. Guitar players that play Les Pauls, I love. That's just my sound. Strats are nice, but I rather hear a Les Paul. Just my opinion. Um, some fun facts about this song. Been sampled by DJ Double D and Skininski. sampled by a Tribe Called Quest in a song called Lessons in the Magic Number. So some rappers used it, which is so fucking cool. You know, I wish I knew that during our rap session. I would have said that's my favorite
Well, yeah,
sample.
dude, no, it makes sense. Of course, they're gonna sample like Led Zeppelin. There are plenty more
Oh,
rappers that sampled their songs.
when we get to another song, a famous rap group really sampled one of Zeppelin songs and made it famous. All right, Dancing Days are here again. Uh, Manny, you want to take a stab at this one? What do you think?
Lyrically,
Yeah.
I'll let you do it because definitely I'm not the Zeppelin expert.
About hanging out with a girl, drinking on a summer night as the evening starts to glow. She's the one and only. And I love this line because I felt like this when I was a kid because I didn't drive. You know, you told your mother I'd get you home, but you didn't say I had a car. You know, this is a great line. So it's basically hanging out on a summer night, having fun. Then there's some Dylan absurdity in here. I saw a lion. He was standing alone with a tadpole in a jar.
Yeah,
Don't
that
know
sounds Dylan.
where the fuck that came from. Just a fun night hanging out with the girl. Hopefully, he hooked up with her, and I'm sure Robert Plant did. You know? Anything on that, Joe? On the lyrics? Any ass checking? Well, I'm doing it again, man.
It's just a fun song and a great way to start side two of a vinyl album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, amazing. I think the habit is what I'm doing. Remind me when you've
Yeah,
seen.
that's it. Yeah, it because you're holding it, it's tough because I know your arm's gonna get tired.
All right, so musically, again, Page is using dissonance. He's using like almost modal, like a modal riff, something that's going against the normal
Wait,
pentatonic.
that's when that riff when it plays, it goes like
Yeah,
like it sounds strange.
yeah, dissonant riff. It's some kind of mode he's using. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's not, it's not major. Repetitive riff. That's a hooky riff that stays in your head. Great melody, catchy chorus, great rhythm section, great hooky song, and always played on the radio. I remember it being on the radio,
Yeah.
hearing it constantly.
Great rocking tune. Like it's really good. Like to get the party started, and it was a rock party. Yeah, it's great. Oh, and by the way, Cheech, I know it's inspired by an Indian tune that Page and Plant heard while traveling in Bombay. So that explains all that strange rhythm.
Yeah. Thank you for
Can
that.
anybody explain the line? There's a very interesting line. I never figured it out. I saw a lion. He was standing alone with a tadpole in a jar.
Yeah, that's what we had said.
So Cheech said that's like the Dylan line. That one's the absurd. It's kind of
that's absurdism. That's like the thing about Plant and Dylan way more, but like, Gollum will pop up and ramble on when it's not really the Battle of Evermore. It's just a song, you know what I mean? It's just a regular song. This song, why is a lion?
I mean, the line before it is, I I'd get you home, but I didn't tell her I had no car. I would say, well, that's kind of like the Everly Brothers with Wake Up Little Susie, where they both fell asleep and they couldn't get home before curfew. So I don't know. I identify with something like the Everly Brothers, but tadpole in a jar, he loses me.
So this is weird, but what I'm finding is someone mentioned the tadpoles being sperm, which is weird. I don't know. It's weird. That's a weird line. Like just because it's so.
Second, and Robert Plant looks like a lion.
Also, the other there's another reasonable explanation that the lion is a blonde kid. You know how kids collect tadpoles and put them in a jar, and you know how every kid kind of did that when they were little by the river, like collect tadpoles or crabs or. That's another theory, but
Unless you're Dahmer and
Lightning
you're
bugs.
bad.
You're Tom, you're dissecting.
They did something different to the tadpoles.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe, that line is it's absurd. It's kind of like a weird line, kind of out of nowhere too, because it's kind of straightforward and then it hits you with this weird, surreal line.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. I would love to ask Robert Plant, what the fuck? That one, like we're analyzing this, and
Jeez.
I
He also says, "You are my flower, you are my power." So I'm like, flower power, and I'm like, where was flower power popular? Probably another reference to maybe California.
Mm-hmm.
You are my woman who knows.
Yeah. So it's about being with your girl.
Song.
It's about your girlfriend having a good time. So
them dancing days, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I need to take a few seconds to just check on my black dog. So treat this like I broke a guitar string and I have to get another guitar, but I'll be right back in like 30 seconds or less. But you can keep going.
We won't go to the next song.
No, you can go to the next song. Wait a minute, what's the next one? Oh, Jamaica.
Yeah.
This is where the cart, like the wheels fall off the cart, is with this one. This is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. I'll be right back.
Dear Maker. I mean, I could see that, but Dire Maker, I love this song. I think I love what they do with reggae. Which, by the way, it's kind of like, I know Bob Marley, obviously Bob Marley being the king of reggae, and reggae being a thing even before in Kingston, but I love how Zeppelin, any genre they do, dude, they perfect. Like, I hate to say it, like
they do, and they rockify it.
Dude, I'll be honest with you, and Jamaica, right? Jamaica, or Dire Maker, dude, it's such a great romantic song too. Like, I don't know, I love this song. This is like one of the first Led Zeppelin songs I heard, so I was confused when then I heard Stairway to Heaven, and I'm like, wait a minute, what kind of band is this? I don't understand them.
Yeah, this album is cool because it's kind of like all over the place,
Yeah,
which is cool about it. But I think when Joe comes back about the reggae.
He didn't like being in the dark.
So reggae music, and me and Joe were talking about this briefly. In 1973 was huge. Peter Tosh had come to America and became real popular. Then Bob Marley, and there was a place called Max's Kansas City in the city where they all played, and Bob Marley blew up. I mean, massive. And then,
I know. When did he go to London? Remember he played some shows in London?
Probably around this time.
Yeah, he had a famous concert there.
Probably before. Probably 72, 71. Right. And then Eric Clapton recorded I Shot the Sheriff in 74, so he was all over, English blues rock band. So, and this is their only reggae song,
As far as I know. Yeah. I thought it was fantastic.
Man, who else did a reggae song? Little trio from Rush.
Man, this little trio, man.
Yeah, Spirit of the
Radio. If I remember correctly, I think their name was Rush.
Yeah, Spirit of the Radio and Enemy Within. But that's more of a police.
Dude, Vital Signs, ska and reggae, man.
They got into a lot of that, yeah. But this is more pure reggae than like
this is yeah.
So the play on words, Joe, you want to explain it one more time?
From what I understand, the correct pronunciation is Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole Dear Maker is shorthand for Did You Make Her? I guess if you're English and you say it really quick, it's Do You Make Her?
Right.
And it's part of an old joke.
Okay.
It's hard to explain being an American.
Yeah,
because I think I always thought the song, and no one ass checked me, but I thought I always thought it was Dire Maker.
Yeah,
that's what I called it.
And then that makes sense because
it's like this. It's like there's two friends and they're talking, and one says to the other, my wife went on vacation. And the other guy goes, do you make her? And the other guy goes, no, she went of her own accord. I don't know what's so funny about that, but I remember hearing an interview with Robert Plant, and that's how he explained it. And he actually used the word, no, she went of her own accord.
It's got to be.
That's kind of funny. It's like a play on words, right? Like, is that the funny?
Jamaica? No, she went because she wanted to go.
Jamaica. You've been to Jamaica.
Maybe it's an English thing. Who knows?
I'm surprised that Bonham gets a songwriting credit on this, because John Paul Jones is always quoted as saying that Bonham had a lot of trouble with this song, with the reggae beat. Really couldn't get it. So
I could see that.
In my opinion, he just Zeppelinized it. He made it. He made it own. He changed it. But
well, I was on Cheats. Like, it's a great song. Like, they made reggae their own.
I gotta say, I've played with reggae bands, not in bands, but jammed with them, and man, it's not easy to play in a reggae band. Because my problem, when I played with real reggae players, they'd be like, dude, you're too much on top of the beat. You gotta lay back. You gotta laid back. When you listen to Legend by Bob Marley and you have Austin Family Man Barrett's bass lines, it's laid back. It's so relaxed. It's just the feel of reggae. Be in a rock band or be in Bonham, you're bashing shit. So that's the opposite of reggae. Reggae is very relaxed. I always had. I didn't have trouble playing with it. I had to just get in my mind not to be on top of the beat, to be more behind the beat with reggae. So, and you need a good drummer to guide you, because without that, you're lost in a reggae band. Okay, Jamaica. A woman leaves Plant, and she leaves him a letter. That makes him upset. So sad, sad, sad. He's begging her, please don't go. There's heartbreak, sadness, and loneliness. That's it. That's all I got out of it.
Fantastic.
Begging a woman.
I love it.
Probably the most stupidest thing a man could do, in my opinion.
Will you send a letter to a woman? Or...
begging a woman to stay.
Please don't leave me. I mean, let's pretend if that song. Remember the song "Since I've Been Loving You"? So this might be the same character from that song. This time the girl's left there.
Can't get a break.
Poor guy. He works from 9 to 11. Poor dude can't catch a break.
At the temple to be with her.
Oh man.
Hours, and now look, he's begging her to stay.
Look what he says.
Funny how we put our own concept in Led Zeppelin.
I just put a line together that interested me. Every breath I take, and he says a bunch of O's. Every move I make, and he says a bunch of O's. O. It's like, wow. I wonder if Sting got that idea.
Wow.
Breath you take.
Hold on, dude. I just noticed that.
Every move I make. Baby, please don't go.
I'll be watching.
That's a song too, isn't it?
I'll be honest. What was Sting? It has to be somewhere. That's interesting.
Oh, Baby, Please Don't Go is an old blues song.
Yeah. Wow.
I just love how the reggae, and then I was reading here, like, it has like a 1950s doo-wop kind of thing to it. I see that. It's kind of very interesting song. But I agree. This one is where I was reading, like, a lot of critics were ripping this song apart because they didn't like the imitation of reggae. But I'm just like, dude, they're just having fun.
No,
I mean, what's wrong with that?
And how cool is this? In a critic in the beginning, I said it's such a diverse album. It's gonna have I mentioned doo-wop, 50, reggae, funk, ballads. Zeppelin's experimental. This is probably their most experimental album with different genre music. We could definitely say that. That's definitely a fact.
Yep.
They're experimenting. And then the next one is great. So, musically, any more on the lyrics?
It's funny. Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses, he says that this song meant a lot to him as a teenager, which I would agree too. Black Dog.
Joe, you got real
I'll
Joe.
be back.
I guess Black Dog wants to ass check. Just
Yeah.
But Axl Rose said that this song got him into heavy rock, which is kind of random because it's not even heavy rock; it's reggae.
Oh, what a face! What a beautiful dog.
Oh,
I'm a little upset.
He wants your attention.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
no, you're good.
We'll get more ratings. Show him again.
Dogs get the views.
Yep. Cats too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hot
Mr.
dog. Well,
But
remember Robert Plant's dog, Strider.
Yep. Reggae influence was huge at that time. So, Bob Marley, as we said, Jimmy Cliff, they were all selling out, big places. A nice reggae guitar, authentic. The bass line. You ever hear the bass line in this? It's real reggae. I think he's playing with a pick.
It's really good.
And he really, really gets that reggae. That Family Man Barrett, Austin Family Man Barrett, and what's the guy's name? I think it's Bobby Shakespeare. They were the two guys who were the reggae bass players for like the Wailers and Peter Tosh, and that's who Jones sounds like. It's authentic bass line, and then the beat to me is it's reggae, but it's more rock. It's more of a rock beat.
Yeah,
it has a reggae.
It's
Could have
an
been
creation.
been the Police influence for Stuart Copeland. Who knows? Catchy vocals. The melody is beautiful. A huge radio song. Huge.
Yeah.
It was. You can't can't deny it. All right, this is probably my favorite song on the album, next to "Oh Far Away." Okay, so before we get into this, what do you think this song is about?
We'll start with Joe.
Don't.
No quarter.
No quarter. No, it's unbelievable. The lyrics are good. But I never understood about the Dogs of Doom. A lot of the stuff. There's a lot of imagery in here.
Yeah.
But
this is probably their lyrically most sophisticated song on the album. I would say.
It's really atmospheric.
Yeah, I mean, I did read somewhere, Cheech. I think it's up your alley. Vikings.
That's what it's about. About Vikings.
Was that so? So it's like the immigrant song.
But it's about a specific Viking battle.
So take it away. Explain, because most people won't know that.
It's about a woman who's about to become a widow, waiting for her husband to come back from battle. The Battle of Stamford Bridge. It's a sorrowful eulogy for her Viking husband. The frigid winds of Thor. When you hear that, you know someone's dying. And I heard it yesterday walking to work. Jesus Christ, it was windy. I don't know, 2 days ago, it was brutal, man. And I thought of that line, wind was pushing me back. So it's about Viking myths, and especially the Battle of Stamford Bridge. It's where the Vikings were taken surprised by the English. And they were at the bridge, and speaking of bridges, and all or most of the Vikings died. And the widow, some fled back to Norway, but the widow is of King Harold Hardin. I'm going to say his name wrong. Hardarada. He's the main Viking that Plant's singing about. So it's about the aspect of the widow, her perspective, and then the battle of Stamford. So that's pretty much that. I thought that was really cool. Once again, Plant's Viking history. Any thoughts on that? The imagery, I mean, it tells a story. It's amazing.
What does it mean, Cheech, when they ask no quarter?
Oh, no quarter means no one will be taken prisoner. All enemy
Oh,
must be killed.
that's pretty dark. So musically, this song matches the lyrics.
Yeah, no one
What's
lives.
that about?
And this
There's
is the
no.
song. Wait, and this is the song that goes dun 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 dun. Right? It goes like dun dun dun. Like is that right?
Well,
Because it starts with the mellotron. I think you jump off.
has that riff. You
Yeah,
know,
damn. Yeah,
then the dynamics get really low, and then John Paul Jones does a great solo. Uh, musically, hauntingly slow. Gets into that powerful groove. John Paul Jones does
yeah,
amazing keyboard work. Powerful
yeah.
drums. Plant's vocals are amazing, and he tells a story of the Viking legends in great lyrics and chorus. So that about sums up that. And that guy can check me on this all he wants. I am 100% sure this is what this song is about.
I
That's
think
all.
I think you got it. I think lyrics and music match because it
Yeah,
begins that it's a slow burner, but dude, it's another iconic Zeppelin song next to this and Over the Hills and Far Away. I
yeah.
mean,
Vikings,
this is Led Zeppelin.
Vikings,
Do you think
Tolkien.
it's a continuation of like Battle of Evermore?
No, because
Battle of Evermore order.
it's a factual. The Battle of Stamford Bridge was an actual
Okay.
battle that happened. It's an historical event. Doesn't say it, but I've researched it a lot, and that's what it said that he was reading about when the Vikings were taken by English under a bridge.
Hmm.
You know, but if I mean, I'm pretty sure. I think I got it right. Somebody could check me. You know,
That's good. Well, that I never knew it was based on an actual historical moment.
Yeah, I
my
didn't know
my
that either.
my interpretation of it. You know, in my research, uh, the ocean. Now, Joe brought up a great fact that I missed. I never got it. So, title.
Well, yeah, the ocean is like the scene that the band has looking from the stage out into the audience. It's just
Hmm.
an ocean of heads swaying and moving, and it reminds him of an ocean and the waves of an ocean.
Yeah,
So this song is about singing to an audience, performing to an audience, a large audience.
which they did. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
lyrically, there's not a lot. It's just about having fun, drinking moonshine, having fun, have a date. I can't be late. There's a weird word he says, hella ball or something like that, which means hellhounds. I looked up.
Hmm.
yeah,
You know, I think it means
right.
hellhound. When I looked it up,
Hmm.
singing to the ocean to hear its ocean roar. I used to sing to the mountains, and the mountains lost its way. It's just words put together. I think like a Dylan type of song. You know, that kind of have no real meaning. They're just fun.
I'll be honest, I think the music does the speaking.
Oh,
Dude,
I would
the song's what a closer.
next to like next to Out on the Tiles or something or Black Dog. I mean, it's an easy riff to play. It's not hard. It's not hard to play, but it is once you play it, man. It's fun. It's funky, man. Zeppelin got
Yeah,
fun. They got funky on this album. It really
I
did,
think it's another tune that Jimmy loved to play live. I think they all did,
and
but
it's not takes of Song Remains the Same. If you had the deluxe Song Remains the Same, or if you had how the West was won, it's on there. Misty Mountain Hop and the Ocean.
and
Um,
Bonham starts the song. Remember we were talking about that? What he says
oh
in the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah. Explain
Dude,
what
I
he said.
love it.
Explain
Yeah,
why.
I never really could tell totally what he said, but I finally found it. We've done four already, but now we're steady. And then they went 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means that they're doing the fifth take of the song in the recording studio. They had already done 4. And then I think Bonham actually believed that maybe the fifth one would be the one that would take, because now they were feeling pretty steady.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny,
So-
Joe. No, 100%, because he's referring to the previous 4 recording takes, and the one on the record presumably is the fifth take of the session.
Mhm.
Right.
So that's funny,
Joe,
and it's funny he says it live too. He goes like, "We done full already, but now we're steady." And they went 1, 2, and then down. And dude, I'll be honest with you, this is another case where the live version is better than the studio.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Whew.
more powerful. Classic riff, powerful drums. Plant's vocals are great, beautiful melody. The bass follows the riff, down. And the ending is the best because they go into a blues jazz walk feel, and they start to sing doo wop. Doo wop is sung, so it almost goes into a 50s
Yeah.
doo wop feel and has that jazz feel at the end. Classic song.
Yeah.
And another rap to bring up more rappers, the Beastie Boys did a great job. They sampled it. You ever hear that? The Beastie
Oh
Boys
yeah, they sampled. Yeah, this is famous. Yep.
rap over it. It's
Yep.
so like, when rappers are sampling you, that's when rap was cool, man. That's when rap, they knew how to take samples. I don't think Kendrick Lamar even knows who Led Zeppelin is. To be honest.
I hope he does. You know what's funny? A certain temple worker, I'm not gonna mention his name, he sent me a Cheech, have you listened to Kendrick's album? Was it the Blacker the Berry? I think it's called, or something.
No.
Oh no! It's you know it. I think it was your favorite. If you were to listen, Kendrick Lamar was your favorite album. You know what's funny? I think I'm quoting a.
No, to Pimp a Butterfly.
Sorry, To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. It's funny. Just as in the side story, one of our, he's been on the show. He sent me a musician playing an interlude off that album, and I don't know if you listen. Have you listened to the album, Cheech?
Yeah. When we were doing the show, yeah.
Okay. Do you know the? And I'll be honest, it could be his best album for sure.
I like.
Do you know the song on it? There's a song. Do you know the interlude? I think it's the second track, For Free.
I think so.
And it does that jazz kind of like that bebop free jazz part.
Yeah.
And he was amazed by that. But I told him, dude, that's jazz, man. Like that's been done in the 50s.
Yeah. It's cool that he does. It's cool that he's in.
It's like nothing new.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I told him that's jazz influence. It's lyrically I don't like it, but musically he takes like that 1950s bebop jazz and and incorporates rap lines over it. Pretty cool. Like the Beastie Boys did with the that's what I heard.
There was a DJ who did it, DJ Solar. He did all Miles stuff, which was cool. I think it's cool. Kendrick Lamar is doing that stuff. And I argue with all the young bucks today. Like, I'm just not getting the new rap. It's not my thing. I'm stuck in my era. And Kendrick Lamar is good. But I'm not like a huge. I shouldn't be talking negative because now it's reconnecting. I don't know what that means. Wait, could you hear me?
Well, in today's world, you're either a Swiftie or a Kendrick Lamar fan.
Yeah, I think he's great, and I think it's cool he's doing jazz stuff. I'm just not a fan, of it. I'm not a fan of modern.
It's funny, he hasn't done it since. Dude, he hasn't done it since. He hasn't done it since. Just that one time on. But
yeah.
But my point is, and I'm not gonna mention his name. Like he was amazed by this one part, and I told him, "This is jazz. It's already been done."
Yeah. He's good, but like I'd rather hear Dr. Dre, and stuff like that. And this is what me and they argue. Yeah, we fight about music. We're fighting about Rihanna versus Beyonce, and we go back and forth. And I'm just like, dude, I like what I like. You like what you like. it's a generational thing. That's all it is. Anyway, so moving on. I mean, Joe, do you like Kendrick Lamar or what's her name? What's the girl's name you mentioned? Taylor Swift.
Beyonce, Rihanna,
Who would you
Taylor
pick?
Swift.
Or Taylor Swift?
Oh, come on now. You know I don't know anything about
Or Drake?
Kendrick Lamar.
God forbid you
I know that
think
they're fighting.
Drake is an example.
I did see the Taylor Swift movie in a movie theater from the Eras tour.
Yeah, she's
So,
a good performer.
I'm waiting for Kendrick Lamar to put out his movie. I'll go to.
Yeah.
What?
Taylor Swift is a good performer.
You're dropping out.
Oh, am I? You hear me?
Yeah, I think it's you're lagging, Cheech. I don't know. It might be your. I don't know. It's weird.
All right, let's not talk about Kendrick Lamar anymore. How about now?
All right, so I think we'll move on. We're gonna conclude with the album cover, unless Joe, anything else or Cheech.
I was just going to say, Kendrick Lamar, obviously he's got something with the Super Bowl and everything, and he won a Pulitzer Prize for his lyrics, so he's got something, and I should educate myself about it. I shouldn't just be dismissive of it.
See, I'm the complete opposite of you, Joe. I don't like.
I'm in the middle. I see he's the voice of the generation right now. Now, not gonna pick a side, but is that could you make a case or against that? It's up to you.
I'm not living in 2025. I'm living in 1975, 1985. There we go. Now, the controversial cover, or is it controversial? And I have my theory.
Wait, was it really controversial?
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? Did any of you check the? Oh yeah, yikes! But
I can't get back far enough.
It's funny because I was looking at there was a documentary on hypnosis, and they were going over some of the albums they worked on. When they reached this one, first of all, I didn't know it was them that designed this album cover, which is interesting. But as far as I know from the background, there was nothing really. Mom was there. Kids were well taken care of.
They had two kids. I think I sent you. One is a celebrity chef in London who was on there, and the girl is somebody, his sister. They got paid well. They were treated well. Zeppelin wasn't there. Hypnosis and a guy named Aubrey Powell did it. Children climbing or lying on rocks. It's inspired by something. It's inspired by a fiction book called Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke.
Yeah. Yeah, so it has like a science fiction element to it.
Yeah. It's innocence, curiosity, and a spiritual journey. Now, my theory about being naked in the 70s, people didn't look down on it. Like, in Woodstock, you'd see families walking around naked with their little kids, So in the 70s, it was about expressing yourself, showing off your body. It really wasn't like shocking or maybe pornographic to people, just my opinion. Now you'd get in big trouble if you put that out, I think. And there are some worse albums where they show a lot worse than me. And Manny talked about it. Blind Faith.
Yeah. I was gonna say Houses of the Holy is like definitely controversial, but it's not as bad as some of the ones that we discussed.
Well, we discussed Blind Faith.
Do you remember the Blind Faith album?
No, Joe, we talked about the Blind Faith is bad, and there's also another one that Cheech and I were talking about, and I saw a quick Instagram video on it too of a guy, Virgin Killers, the Scorpions.
Yeah,
which is horrible. I mean,
that's child pornography. It's bad. I don't even know how it got. Like
no, in the Blind Faith one. Remember how old did we say the girl was on Blind Faith?
12.
She couldn't have been 18.
No, not it. It's even worse. No. I'm like, I don't know about.
So I don't know what the point of that was, there had to be some odd reason, but I don't know. Now people will be going to jail for a long time putting that stuff out, you know. But anyway, this is a great episode. Any more comments on Zeppelin's cover? Did you hear me? Or am
I
I
was just
breaking?
surprised that it didn't have anything on the sleeve. Again, Led Zeppelin is not mentioned on the album cover at all, except for the little strip, the little banner at the bottom that gives the band name and the title.
Then that was done on.
Otherwise, the album cover has.
Yeah, and that was all done on purpose. You know, Page did went against the grain to do it his own way. You know, which is so cool because no bands were doing that. It was like career suicide to not put your name on the album.
And now, supposedly, the girl that's of the brother and sister, the girl is on the back of the Presence album as well. I haven't looked at it though, so I have to.
She's not. She's not on
check
the.
myself.
She's not on the table with the family.
What I read this, just browsing the net was.
Yeah.
It was the back cover of the Presence album. She's on it.
It's funny, by today's standards, I think the album cover would be weird, but I'll be honest with you, it's always, since when I discovered the album, the first thing I noticed was the album cover, and and the one, when you see it on iTunes or Apple Music, there's no mention of Led Zeppelin or anything, so you're like, what the heck is this? So you would think it kind of looks like a prog rock album cover, it's weird.
Artistic,
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to have some fun, YouTube Spinal Tap and their album cover for Smell the Glove.
Yeah.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
You know that one, Cheech? Smell the Glove?
Yeah.
Fran Drescher's in there explaining to the manager of the group why it's an offensive album cover.
Yeah. I know. It's like, but then album covers got
you
more.
probably don't know that when you're too young.
As things progressed into the 80s, album covers got more violent, with heavy metal and stuff like that, they changed completely from this peaceful naked kids on a rock to like Eddie with a hatchet. Things changed a lot over the years with album covers.
Shock value.
Yeah. Anything you guys want to wrap up on Houses of the Holy? Great episode, great facts. Joe, you want to leave with anything specific?
It was a fun record. I listened to it twice today, and just to get refamiliarized with it, because it is in my DNA. And I do think it's their most fun album. It's the most fun they had doing an album that period of time, and also touring it.
Oh yeah. And they were at a happy time, and unfortunately, like I said, the bad stuff's going to happen now. Page gets into drugs. Mm-hmm. A lot of bad happens to Plant. Horrible stuff happens to Robert Plant. And then
it all starts with the car crash in Greece.
Yeah. Here's a thought-provoking question. Me and Manny were thinking, if Bonham didn't pass away, what do you think Zeppelin would have sounded like in the 80s? Would they have gone like the Firm, that kind of sound, or would they have gone into sounding like Genesis?
Like would they Genesis and Yes.
I think it might have been more proggy. There was a lot of backlash against Zeppelin around that time because punk was big then, and you had the Sex Pistols calling them dinosaurs, and they should just go away. And I think it was Sid Vicious who said, I just look at one of their album covers and I want to throw up. There's a lot of negative backlash against the band. I think what would have probably messed them up was the production values of the 80s if Jimmy wasn't able to keep evolving as a producer.
Yeah. I would wonder, Joe, what do you think? Do you think that Page, don't get me wrong, like he's brilliant in the 70s. I don't know, like because she and I would think about this question. I was thinking about it even more to each after, and I don't think they would have, like, Page would not have incorporated the 80s sound well.
He would have. It would have sounded
I
like
don't think
Rush.
he would.
Possible. And I think,
It would have sounded like Rush. If you think of Outrider, that doesn't sound like Led Zeppelin production. You know, The Firm doesn't sound like Led Zeppelin production. So it would have been like, I think it would have been more like The Firm, and I love that first album. I think it's brilliant, the first Firm album. It would have sounded like that, and I don't think Zeppelin would have, lasted. They would have probably broke up because I don't think they could have kept it going.
they probably would have broken up.
Yeah,
I think Robert Plant had his own ideas. He had learned from
yeah,
the best, with Jimmy.
yeah,
And I think that maybe they probably would have broken up anyway.
yeah.
Yeah. And don't forget, also, Jimmy did the Death Wish 2 soundtrack.
He did. That's
There was
amazing.
actually some interesting music on there. And he played a lot of it when I saw him at the Firm.
And that,
and he also, and this is, what?
the Death Wish 2 sounds like a Kenneth Anger movie called Lucifer Rising. I don't know if you've ever heard that. I used to have the album. Yeah, it's all bow and everything. It's pretty sick.
Very scary.
That's very scary, and that's what the Death Wish soundtrack sounds like. Great movies. I love Death Wish movies. What's the actor's name? I'm drawing a blank.
Charles Bronson.
The best. Oh my god. Great movies. So I don't know.
The first one was always the best one.
Yeah. Then they got cheesy. Have you ever seen them, Manny? The Death Wish movies?
No, I'm just looking it up right now. What is it? What type of movie? I never heard of it.
Vendetta. It's
It
about
was a vigilante movie.
Vigilante, yeah.
Death Wish 1974?
No.
That sounds interesting.
Is it 74? Is it that early? No.
Well,
I think it's
first one came out in 74. Charles Bronson.
really it came out that early. I know he did. What did Page
You
do?
said Page?
Page did Death Wish 2.
Oh,
That might have been 1980. But
Well, it had to be after that because Zeppelin disbanded in December of 80.
yeah. But anyway, great episode, guys. I guess we could wrap it up, and we'll go on to Physical Graffiti. I'll start to write that one when I know it's Joe's favorite album.
Man. Double beast. We got blonde on blonde, and then
God,
these are gonna be long episodes.
Albums. That's crazy. But all right. On that note, guys, take off. Great episodes. Until next time. All right.
Okay, guys. Have a good
See
night.
you guys.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Until next one.
Till next one. Later.
All right.